Hi, my name is Bibek Adhikari. I am your English instructor. In today's class, we are going to solve the grammar portion of Unit 13, that is the past tense. So, let's begin. Alright, we are now going to start to study about the past tense. I have tried to compile a short paragraph based on the paragraph that is given in your book. Let's start by reading this. Monica woke up at 6 in the morning yesterday. When she looked at the clock, she said, I'm going to be late for my coaching class. It wasn't her first time to be late for the class. She thought her teacher would get angry with her for the same reason, coming late to the class. Anyway, she took a shower, had a cup of tea, and hurried to school. When she reached school, she saw no one. While she was moving around the schoolyard, she thought to look at the notice board to see if there was any notice. When she looked at the notice board, she saw that there was a notice about a school holiday. She cursed herself when she remembered that her teacher had read out the notice in the class the day before. Feeling ashamed, she returned home. Right, that was the paragraph. Now, can you spot the past tense, the verbs? Now, I want you to find the verbs that are in the past tense from this paragraph. Can you do it? I think you can. Let's try together. Monica woke up. When she looked. She said, wasn't, thought, would get is also the past tense. Took a shower, took, had, hurried, reached, saw, was moving, she thought, looked, saw, was, cursed, remembered, had read, returned. Ashamed is an adjective, so let's not underline that one. Alright, these are the different tenses that are used. We have a simple V2, which is called simple past tense. We have be verb plus V4, which is called past continuous tense. We even have a had plus V3 tense, which is called past perfect tense. We do not have something called past perfect continuous. No, had been. We don't have that one. So we only have three different kind of tenses here. Abundantly, there are V2s, one be plus V4 and one had plus V3. So we have two aspects. One is called progressive aspect and another is called perfective aspect. So those are aspects of past tense. So we even have two aspects of past tense, progressive and perfective, right? Let's study about this. The past tense. We have four different kinds of past tense and they are simple past, past continuous, past perfect and past perfect continuous. We studied about these three tenses. The first is simple past. We studied about these three tenses. The first is simple past, another is past continuous, and another is past perfect. In the given example, I tried to induce some rule from the example. Now let's write what the rule is. The rule for the simple past tense is subject plus V2. Simple as that. The rule for the past continuous is subject plus was, were, plus V4 is easy as ABC, right? Now let's go to the third one, past perfect tense. And in past perfect tense, the structure is subject plus had plus V3 and so on. Finally, in the past perfect continuous tense, we have subject plus had been plus V3. Let us also learn one example. Let's first start with the simple past tense. What could be the example? He danced. Simply he danced or danced. British American thing. Alright, let's write one example of past continuous tense. He was dancing. Let's write one example of past perfect tense. Let's write one example of past perfect continuous tense. He had danced and he had been dancing. He is the subject while danced is the verb to. Past continuous. He is the subject, was is the be verb, and dancing is the fourth form of verb, also known as present participle. And if we go to the past perfect tense, he is the subject, had is the verb, auxiliary verb, and danced is the third form of the verb, correct? This is the auxiliary verb. And if we go to the last example, we find that he is the subject, had is the auxiliary, been is a be verb in third form, and dancing is the fourth form of verb, also known as present participle, and dance is known as past participle. So we have present participle and past participle, right? This is called progressive aspect because something is happening in progression, and this is called perfective aspect because something already happened. Progressive aspect is that kind of aspect of tense where something is going on in progression. He was dancing. In the past time, he was dancing. So that is progressive action. In the perfective aspect, what we find out is something had already happened. Now that is perfective, right? Let's study about these in detail with more and more examples. Some examples. Alright, these are some of the examples. The first one is after I got a new job, I left the previous one. After I got a new job, I left the previous one. We have a V2 here and a V2 here also. Let's look at the second example. They had been talking for over an hour before I arrived. A V2 on the second part. In the first part, we have had plus been plus V4. Let's look at the third example. Kabir was tired. So this is V2 simply because he had been digging. So we have a structure had plus been plus V4 for the field for 3 hours. Let's look at the first example. In the first example, what the example says is after I got a new job, I left the previous one. So getting a new job and leaving the old one is happening in a simultaneous way, almost like in a parallel way. That's why we use V2, V2. As soon as I ate banana, I started eating apple, or I ate apple, something like that, right? One incident gets completed and another incident starts. One action is complete and another action starts. In that kind of sentence, we use V2, V2. If we look at the second example, in the first part of the sentence, we have a structure had plus been plus V4 because these people, the subject, were talking for over an hour before someone else, another subject, arrived. If we look at the third example, the subject Kabir was tired. Why was he tired? Because he had been digging the field for 3 hours. So this continuous action is shown, right? This is more like a progressive aspect, perfective progressive aspect, because here is a mix of perfect tense and progressive continuous tense, right? Let's study some more examples. The first one is after he dash his car, he cleaned the garage. The word here is wash. Let's go to second example. Had you already learned some English when you first blank space to live here? The verb is come. Let's write another example. Until yesterday, I blank space that man in our office. Let's start with the first one. After he blank space his car, he cleaned the garage. So here is V2. So what happened in the first section? Which tense are we going to use? Is it the simple past tense or is it past perfect tense? After he washed his car, he cleaned his garage. That means two actions are going in a continuous way. But that does not seem feasible because after he washed his car, he cleaned the garage. Or after he had washed his car, he cleaned his garage. Which one is correct? First one or the second one? I think the second one is correct, not the first one, because there is some kind of, time gap. There is some kind of duration gap between one action and another action, and in that sense, we should always use had plus V3 in the completed action first, and we use simply V2 in another action. Let's go to the second example. Had you already learned some English when you first came to live here, right? Had you already learned? So we have a progressive aspect here. That's why we will use simple past tense. Let's go to the last example. Until yesterday, I blank space that man in our office. I had not seen. Why do we use had not seen? Because this indicates some kind of experience. That's why we use the term had not seen. Now the simple past tense and the past continuous tense will be dealt in detail in another sections in another videos. Also, the past perfect tense and the past perfect continuous tense will be dealt in other videos in detail. This video is more like an overview of all the different kind of past tense. That's why I'm not going to go in detail and teach each and every tenses, because I'm going to do that in 2 separate videos. With this, I'm going to give you some homework, and your homework is to fill in the blanks. Alright, these are the 3 examples as homework. The first one is, by the time I blank space there, the concert had already begun. So is it past simple past tense or past perfect tense or even past perfect continuous tense? Find out. By the time I got there, or I had got there, or I had been getting there. So find out the best answer. Let's go to number B. She only understood the movie because she, is it read, had read, or had been reading, or was reading? So find out the best answer. Go to last part. He blank space a ladder when a rung broke and he fell. He had climbed, or was climbing, or had been climbing. So that's your job to find out. With this, we have come to end of today's class. If you have any questions or suggestions regarding this video series, feel free to write us at learning@deerwalk.edu.nb. Thank you.